Another important distinction to talk about in the publishing industry, self-publishing especially, is the difference between business publishing and what you could call hobby publishing, or I like to also refer to as passion publishing. Hello, my name is Bo Bennett. I have a PhD in social psychology and an undergrad in marketing. For the past 15 years or so, I've been helping thousands of authors publish and market their books. And I can do the same for you through our company, bookmarketing.pro. So the difference basically is with hobby or passion publishing, just as it sounds, you're writing and publishing your book because you're passionate about it. It's something you really enjoy doing. And if there are so many people who just don't quite get this, like they think of the writing process as painful. And let's face it, sometimes it is painful, but it's one of those painful, like going to the gym. It's worth it. And it hurts a little bit, but then it feels so good in the long run. And that's kind of what writing is about for those of us who love to write. That's kind of like the hobby type of writing and publishing and passion. You can see where the passion comes in there. So more than writing, it's the publishing aspect. It's getting your book out there, right? Once you are passionate about writing the book, you write the book, you're all excited about it. It's a wonderful process. Maybe it took you a few months, maybe it took you a few years, whatever, but it's done. And you're just so proud of the work that you did. And here's the key. If you don't care, if you say, look, I want to get this out there, I want to share it with as many people as possible. I don't care if it makes money. I don't want to lose money, of course. And it's difficult to lose money in self-publishing unless you put like hundreds of thousands of dollars or a lot of money into advertising. If you're just basically getting your book out there and doing a few $100 to promote it, to get it kicked off, you're not going to lose more than, I guess, a couple $100. But for the most part, it's worth it to get your book read. But if you're going into this process with that mentality, like, look, I'm not looking to make a killing. It'd be nice if I did, but if this book just is read by other people, even a few other people, then I'm happy. I'm good. That's hobby publishing. That's passion publishing. And really, if you're in that boat, you're in a good boat. That's kind of where you want to be because it's easy. Anybody could get a book out there. Anybody could write it, and it's an enjoyable process. And you're not constantly disappointed when you see that people aren't flocking to get your book. Now you can imagine the business publishing is you're in it for the business. You're in it for the money, essentially. And you could see this dichotomy. It's not a complete black and white. You could be both. You could be somebody who really enjoys writing, but you really enjoy making money off books as well, and you like the business aspect of it. So it's a spectrum, and you could be anywhere on the spectrum. But there are people that are strictly on the business aspect of it. And they're like, look, I don't care. Just let's purchase a whole bunch of books from some publisher that went out of business and let's run the numbers. And if it works, then let's publish them. Let's buy them. And it's strictly treated as a business. And there are people who write books like that. They're writing and they'll admit to me, they'll say, look, I'm writing this book because I thought it was a good idea. I thought it hits a good niche market, and I think I'll make a lot of money at it. If I didn't think that I would make money at it, I wouldn't bother writing it. So there are people that are more on the business aspect of it. And to those people, I say, great, um, good for you, good luck. People certainly make money in book publishing, but it's a lot more difficult, and you're setting yourself up for disappointment. But you could be one of the lucky ones that actually does extremely well and hits a niche either with one book, or you're able to somehow kind of catch on and see what people are interested in and publish a whole bunch of books and make a really good business out of it. Just like any business, it's challenging and it's not easy, but if you have the skill for it, if you have like the business mindset, and if you have that like artistic ability to be able to know what's actually going, I'm not going to say what you actually know, but you have a feeling of maybe what is going to sell and what is not, and you tend to be right more often than wrong, then you might be cut out for the business aspect of this. But it is important to know that it is an art and a science. And there's part of it that could be learned, and there's part of it that's also a talent. So it's pretty complex in terms of business publishing in general. So, but if you hit it right, again, the residual income that comes through uh, could really lead to some pretty good financial security. And most people who go into this for the business, they're not deluded in the sense that they don't think they're going to publish a book and then just retire. They understand that it is kind of a numbers game, and maybe they're going to publish 100 books, and maybe they're not going to retire, but maybe they're going to have like a pretty decent income, like a few hundred extra bucks per month for the rest of their life. That's not bad, especially if you're investing maybe like $1,000 in all these books, and then it turns out that you're going to make $10,000 from them within 10 years. That's a pretty good deal. Again, it's not going to help you retire, but it is going to help you financially. And it is a wise financial decision to make. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about hobby publishing or business publishing. Where are you on the schedule on that spectrum there? It's always interesting to think about, like where you are, and me answering that question, where am I as an author? Well, I've been both places, and I'm not just one point on the spectrum at any given time. And to give you a quick example, I wrote my autobiography, which I turned into kind of like a somewhat fictionalized memoir, and I did that purely out of passion and joy, realizing that very few people care about my life, like, or about the history of my life, and want to read about it, want to spend their time doing it. And I understood that. But I put it out there and I loved it. I loved the process. It was sort of like one of those processes that helps you emotionally, and it's just a kind of a fun journey to relive your childhood in that way, and I really enjoyed it. And then there are other books that I put out that I thought, strictly for the business aspect of it, I thought that this would be a really good idea, and if it didn't do well, I was upset. So a lot of it has to do with attitude and your expectations going into it. My advice to all authors is, yeah, go for both. I think if you're strictly in the business, you're going to be disappointed far more often than not. But if you've got that hobby passion element to it, and you also want to make some money, great. That's where you need to be. You need to have at least a spark of that passion, and you need to enjoy the process. Otherwise, I would honestly recommend that if you're just in it for the business, you look for another business. There are many more that are statistically more profitable than book publishing. But if you got that hobby aspect, you got that passion, then just go for it.